Hello, this is Mrs. Taylor, and I'm going to show you how to graph a step function. Our function here is f of x equals, and this function is called the greatest integer function. And sometimes you'll see it written like it is here, and then sometimes you'll see it with a second bar inside of here. I think in your textbook it has that second bar. Either way, it's called the greatest integer function, and what it means is whatever the x value is, whatever you input into this function, the output is the greatest integer that's less than that number. So for instance, let's say we evaluated f of, I don't know, 3.2. Then how I would evaluate is I would plug 3.2 into the function for x. And my input is 3.2, but my output is the greatest integer that's less than 3.2, which would be 3. So I would use 3 in place of this function, this greatest integer function, and 3 plus 3 would be 6. So that's how you evaluate one of those functions. Now what it looks like graphically is, let's just pick an x value. Let's start with x equals 0. If I plug 0 in here, the greatest integer is less than 0. And some of my students say you just think about rounding down. The greatest integer, when I plug 0 in, is 0. So plugging 0 in, I get 0 plus 3, which is 3. So when x is 0, y is 3. And then anything between 0 and 1. So if I plug in 0.1, 0.001, 0.2, any of those values between 0 and 1, if I plug them into this greatest integer function, I would get 0 as my output, because 0 is the greatest integer less than any value between 0 and 1. So what I end up with is a horizontal line, because no matter what I plug in between 0 and 1, my output will still be 0 plus 3, which is 3. Now, when I get to x equals 1, something interesting happens. If I plug 1 into this function, my greatest integer is 1. So 1 plus 3 is 4. So it jumps to here. And so instead of putting a point here, I put an open circle to show that this is not included for this line, but it jumps up here. And anything between 1 and 2, if I plug into the greatest integer function as an input, my output is 1. And 1 plus 3 is 4. So I get another horizontal line. And then when x equals 2, my greatest integer function's output is 2, and 2 plus 3 is 5. And it just continues to jump at every new whole number. And so you could just continue this pattern. And then we can go in the opposite direction as well. And so what I end up with is a step function. And it's called that, as you may guess, because it looks like steps. And then this plus 3 just tells me that my y-intercept is 3. Because remember, in transformations, this is in place of k. And k is your vertical translation. So it slid up to y equals 3, and that's my y-intercept. So that's how you would graph a step function.